today's episode, we are joined by an individual who has studied and worked in more than one country, and he also has gained over 4 years of experience in the field of 3D printing.
And that person is Edem Dugbenoo. I hope I pronounced your surname correctly. I did not butcher it. Okay, is that right, Edem?
Yeah, it works. There have been so many ways people have pronounced it, but then
Uh-huh.
that is very close to the original.
Oh, how are you doing, Edem, today?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing
You know,
good.
yeah, that's
Easy
great.
Saturday.
Okay, that's great. So thank you for having you here, and you're like our second guest. This is our second episode in the podcast,
Yeah.
and thank you. And yeah,
So, can you tell us in short who is Edem? Like, who are you in a very brief?
In a very brief way.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just say Edem is someone who is generally curious about a lot of different things. And my curiosity in the area of additive manufacturing has led me down a specific path. So I started as an aerospace engineering student during my bachelors, and then I went on to do my master's in mechanical engineering. That was in the UAE. So my bachelor's was in Ghana, and I went on to do my master's in the UAE. And currently I'm doing a PhD in Canada. But then all throughout these stages, the common link has been additive manufacturing. So that's just one of my curiosities.
so like you have mentioned about living, I think 3 countries, right? You have lived in almost 3 countries now. So that's Ghana, UAE,
Yeah.
and Canada. So how was the experience of living in each country, and how was the transition during each time? Because I think each country has a really different sort of culture and mixture of
Yeah.
people. So
Yeah. I mean, like, it's been interesting. Before I left Ghana, that's all I knew. Like, it's not like I had gone on vacation to some other countries and I had some idea of the culture in these countries, like right from when I was born till when I finished my bachelor's degree, I've always lived in Ghana. So I would say I probably understand the culture in Ghana, of course, way more than the other countries I've been in. And the culture in Ghana is pretty, let me just say, it's pretty much like what I've seen in the other places. The only thing is that, of course, there are just there's different nuances in the way people go about their stuff. But then moving to the UAE, let me just say that the first culture shock was how everything was a bit over the top. In Ghana, in the universities, we might have certain equipment, but then the equipment to be like 10 years old, and then I go to the UAE, and then these equipment are like made in the year I arrived in the UAE, or like the year before, like everything is new, everything is state of the art. I mean, whatever you need, you just probably have to talk to your advisor, and if he has funds, he'll be able to order it down. So then that was the first interesting difference I noticed in terms of generally how things are done. And also the culture in the UAE is, I mean, there's a lot of like shopping and a lot of, let me say, a lot of consumerism in the UAE compared with Ghana, where people just like to chill and hang out outside and just talk and have fun. And then in Canada, I'll say in Canada, the culture here is more of people who just want to like enjoy life. So there's some amount of consumerism, definitely way more than in Ghana. But at the same time, people like to just chill and have fun, go to the beach, go kayaking, go surfboarding. It's more varied. in the kind of activities they do compared with the UAE. Yeah, so in general, I would say Canada gives like a good mix of basically maybe if your professional life, your entertainment, the kind of entertainment you're involved with, and also like general stuff, general things that you could use to amuse yourself. Whilst in the UAE is very consumer focused, and in Ghana is just like a very chill place. I mean, it's where I'm from, so I'm a bit biased when it comes to Ghana.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Like it still kind of makes sense because in UAE, what you just have like 2 or 3 months in which you can go out and like chill. The remaining days you have to be indoors.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
like there's not much you can do. And let me just follow up. How was your shock in terms of the weather? Because I think Ghana is more mild weather, and then you move to UAE where you have two extremes, and then you went to Canada, which is even more extreme in terms of
In
weather.
terms of weather. Well, I would say, the year was definitely extreme, but I expected it because coming from Ghana can be hot, but definitely not as hot as the UAE.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of like expecting the hot weather, but then, no matter how much you expect something, you never realize how extreme it will be till you experience it. So just like the UAE weather, I never really thought of the humidity and how that would make you like, you step outside for 5 minutes and you're sweating profusely. Like I never imagined that. So that was something. But then I would point out though that what caught me by surprise was in the winter months. I actually didn't expect the winter months in the UAE to be extremely nice. Like the weather was super, super good. Like, you just want to be outside within those winter months. And going to the UAE, I don't know, there was this mindset that the temperature is hot all year round. I never really looked into the fact that it actually gets cooler, way cooler in the winter months, probably even cooler than it is in Ghana in the winter months. Yeah, and then of course in the summer it's like all hell breaks loose.
So, before we continue, what's the weather right now in Canada?
Right now, give me a minute, I'll just check my phone. But it's about,
Is it hot?
right now it's about 23 degrees.
Similar to Sweden.
Yeah.
Is that hot or is it cold?
I mean, the weather in where I am, so I'm in Montreal. The weather in Montreal is very confusing, The weather can say 23 degrees, but then you step outside and it feels extremely hot and humid. Also because Montreal is on an island, so there's a lot of humidity. And because of that, it can feel a bit uncomfortable, although the temperature says 23 degrees.
Is there like sudden changes in weather, like 3-4 days, like at least during the summer, like 3-4 days it's like really bright and sunny, and then the next few days it's like cloudy and it starts raining? Does that happen in Canada? Because it happens in Sweden for some reason.
Actually, yesterday, so I woke up to realize that it was raining all night, and then the mornings were very cloudy. Like as at 10 a.m. in the morning, it felt like it was still 6 a.m. in the morning. And then in the afternoon, all of a sudden the sun came out. From nowhere, the sun came out. It was super bright. And then around 4 p.m., it goes dark again. It goes cloudy again. It looks like it's going to rain. It doesn't rain. And then around 8 p.m., the sun comes out again. So it's the variability is high.
Yeah.
Going back to your school life, can you talk to us about 3 experiences that are still viable till now?
Okay. I just want to make sure I get the question right. So like 3 experiences that have like really impacted me.
Yeah.
Well, that's a tough one.
Maybe at least one or two. It doesn't have to be three
Yeah,
at
yeah. It
least.
doesn't have to be three,
Yeah,
but
of
like,
course. Three experiences in mainly my education, right? Or just like in general living in these countries.
No, or like in your school life, like is there something in your school life in Ghana at least? Like, is there some lessons that you learned that you still follow, like the experiences from that, or something like that?
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll say in my bachelor's, well, I want to start from the high school I went to, because sometimes I feel there was one teacher in my high school who really made an impact in the way I think and I see the world. Um, and that's something I still realize I make use of, like, that way of thinking. Um, yeah, so his name was Mr. Sumeni. He was my physics teacher. And I remember the first class, I wasn't sure what is going on, because the way he was teaching was so different from how I was taught in my junior high school. So in the junior high school, it was more of, okay, this is what you need to know, learn it, you'll be tested on it, right? And then I go to senior high school, and this physics teacher comes in, and he is like, okay, someone said this. Do you agree? He also said this. This is how he made his logical conclusions. Does it make sense to you? So I felt, okay, wait, why should it make sense to me? Isn't it something that has already been done, certified? You can't question it. So he really taught us, in the class to, like, literally question everything, and to really understand, like, the underlying principles behind whatever theory, whatever hypothesis someone makes, and that translated into how we solved, like, physics problems in general. So it was never, oh, this is the specific way you solve a problem. Like, once the problem is given, you are thinking of the basic building blocks, and you're like, okay, so in order to get to this point, I need to put this on top of that, on top of that. So I think that has been that way of thinking, like, just going straight down to the basics and layering one basic on top of the other basic in order to solve a big problem. I think that has really helped me, like, even in college, the way I approach my studies. Like, I really wanted to understand the nitty-gritties, like, why is this the way it is? Why can't it be the other way? And yeah, right through my master's, it has helped me in my research, because like, I kind of had this understanding that research is about figuring out things you do not know. So it makes no sense to assume you know what to do before you do the research. Other than that, like, then it's not research, because you already know the answers, right? So it helped me, because I didn't get too frustrated when things didn't go as I planned to, because anyone doing research would attest to the fact that it can get frustrating. You spend several hours, several weeks on an experiment or trying to get something, and it just doesn't work out the way you planned. Um, yeah, so basically help me kind of prepare for those frustrations and deal with them properly. And probably that's the reason why I find myself interested in research, because I see it as an opportunity to explore things I do not know, or things I'm curious about, and figure out the answers to these things. And once I figure out the answers, I don't know, there's just feeling of I don't know what the right word is, but then, like,
Pride
there's
or
this
achievement?
fulfillment. Yeah, there's just this fulfillment that comes with figuring out something you didn't know before. So I would say that was the building block, just like focusing on the basics, layering one thing on top of the other. And that's guided me. That's guided me throughout. And in the other countries, what I would say is the main difference was, in the other countries, things were available. So in Ghana, fine, I got that initial basic, but then if I wanted to do something, probably I wouldn't get the equipment to do it, or I wouldn't get whatever, like the components, to build whatever I wanted to build. But then in other places, the difference is those things are easily accessible, so it's way more easier to get things done. In Canada more than in the UAE, but then in the UAE also more than in Ghana. Yeah.
So, yeah, that was in your earlier stages in life, right? That
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
Did it impact how you decided, like how you were going to transfer between high school to bachelor's? Was that one of the main reasons that you decided that's what you wanted to do? Or when did that happen?
Yeah, so that happened like early years of high school, and I think that sparked that interest in, I would say, physics and engineering. I was never a fan of biology because that was a bit antithetical to this whole idea of like fundamentals on top of each other, because it feels like biology is like, this is what it is, like this is the name of this species, and this is the name, this is the genus. Like you have to memorize it. There's no way you can figure it out from basic building blocks. So I think that's when I realized like I wanted to study engineering, and I didn't want to study subjects where like I had to memorize specific stuff. Yeah.